Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon when you are watching this webinar. I want to just say hello again to my good friends in Visalia. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to come and work with your teachers, but as well as all of you last Tuesday. This is webinar one of two to kind of follow up from our session on 9/26. And what this webinar will kind of entail are the specifics on how to navigate the Google folder that I've created for everybody and some directions for how to unwrap your two standards for the tasks that everyone will have assigned to do sometime between now and October 10th. And that allows me to go in and give feedback. And then I believe you have a meeting as a whole group on October the 24th. So everyone should have by now, and if you haven't, email me and I will make sure I get you access to it, but access to the Google folder. And a couple things. The first one is I want to highlight some of the resources that I've highlighted. So here are some places where I'm going to put the slides and some other examples. You see a folder that says tools and resources. I'm going to continue to add more tools into there. And then finally the videos. And within the videos, you see three folders. And you see the folder that says assessment and leadership videos, which I haven't added yet, but I will before the time you have this webinar sent to you, sort of the kind of funnier videos. And then I even included the one at the very end of the day that I think everybody liked with the thank you, Mom. It's not really as much of a funny one. And then I will add a link to this webinar and the others into this particular folder. So don't have that link ready yet, but you will have it when you get ready to get into the work when you get this webinar link. So I'm just going to go in and real quick highlight your task. And so I'm going to go into the folder for TOSAs, and everybody has a Google document based on the folder that you were assigned, whether you were let's go back here, whether you were an AP and a coordinator, an elementary principal, high school principal, middle school principal, cabinet level, or a TOSA. So I'm just going to go into the TOSA one. I'm going to go into the sets folder here, and everyone looks the same. And so what I'm going to ask everyone to do is to unwrap a math and an ELA standard. And so if you were watching this and you haven't gone through the short webinar that I created on unwrapping, you might want to watch that one after. So that way you kind of have some more direction on how to, the specifics around the unwrapping that you need to review. But this link here, corestandards.org. So we're just going to click that link and go to corestandards.org. And then if you scroll down here to read the standards, and then I'm sure this is familiar with a lot of us, we're going to go into the English language arts for right now. We're going to do that one. We'll do that one first. And just a moment here as I kind of get one thing just settled. Sorry, I had to pause my recording there just for a second. And then we're going to go into, I'm just going to ask you to unwrap literature informational text would be my recommendation for everybody. Certainly I'm not going to shoehorn everybody and say we have to do it that way, but let's go into reading for literature, and we'll go into 6th grade. And I believe we're going to go into this particular one here. We're going to go into standard 6.4, RL 6.4. Determine the meaning of words of phrases. They are used in a text, including figurative and connotative meanings. Analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tone. So I would just recommend that you highlight and copy that particular one. I'm going to go over to the sets. And then this is where it could be a little bit of a formatting issue. So when I copy that standard into the text, I had to highlight it and go up here and make the text white, just to kind of be able to do that one. Just something that we kind of noticed in the formatting when I was working through it. And then I'm just going to kind of show you in the example for Lisette, I've taken the time to unwrap this particular standard. And this particular example will be also in your folders. You just see the example once you get into it. But determine the meaning of words and phrases that are used in a text, including figurative connotative meanings. Analyze the impact of a specific word choice on meaning and tones. What I've listed here in this first column are the concepts. Then as you dig into this particular standard, they have to determine the meaning of words, determine the meaning of phrases, determine the meaning of figurative and connotative language. And we could pretty much line that up with a DOK2 under apply, using context to identify meaning of words and phrases. Analyzing the impact of word choice If we dig into the cognitive rigor matrix, we see that apply word choice, point of view, style, and impact to readers' interpretation of a text is really kind of where that lines up. And so, and again, I'm going through this part of the unwrapping kind of quickly just to kind of show the formatting. You'll have that entire other webinar to be able to go back in and do yourself. So the other thing I want to highlight is within your actual document are links straight to my website that will give you both the math and the reading matrix. But now we're going to go into coursestandards.org and we're going to select a math standard. If I was Lisette kind of doing her example here, which I'm doing for her, but I'm going to delete it and she'll have to go back and practice herself on a couple. And so we're just going to go into 7th grade, and I believe we're going to go into ratio and proportional relationships 7.2. Yeah. And we're just going right into this one, kind of a simple one for guiding us today, recognizing and representing proportional relationships between quantities. So I'm going to do a quick copy. And as you see here, I've gone ahead and pasted that one in there. And one point of emphasis here, when we look at how this one's unwrapped, we see we have to recognize the proportional relationships between quantities, but also represent proportional relationship between quantities. When we dig into those, recognizing the proportional relationship between quantities, when we dig into the math rigor matrix, we'll notice it actually ends up being an analyze. So as we talked about the other day, this is where we see a higher level of Bloom's taxonomy, but actually a lower level of DOK, a lower level of rigor. Retrieve information from a table or graph to answer a question. I want to go back to Lisette's here. Whoops. There we go. This is hers that I was working on. Oops, sorry. Sorry for the bouncing around. There we go. When we get into representing proportional relationships between quantities, it's actually a DOK2, but it's only at an understand. And so this is where the Bloom's taxonomy, again, gets us into the ballpark, gets us into where we might need to go. But we see here we've got a lower level Bloom's for one of them with a higher level of rigor. And so what we're looking for is that verb to get us in the ballpark. And then what do we specifically see in terms of what the students would likely have to do related to that standard. But again, I go into a little bit more detail for everyone on the webinar related to unwrapping, where I walk through just a little bit more intentionality. But this one just kind of highlights what everyone would need to have accomplished between now and October 10th. And again, you've got the link to coursestandards.org. You have the rigor matrix for both English and math. So again, if you have any questions, please contact me. If you have any trouble getting into the folder, please let me know. Send me an email. And I look forward to talking with everybody real soon. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Great start to your week.